I've always loved reading superhero comics and playing with superhero toys, so the Marvel Legends line has always been right up my alley. Over the years, Marvel Legends has created a lot of my favorite characters from the comics I read when I was a child, but there are still a lot of characters left that have not been done yet. So in today's video, I'm going to present my personal wish list for Marvel Legends figures that I'd like to have. Full disclosure, my friend Sal at 2 Cents Toys did a similar video to this a little while ago, and I am blatantly stealing that idea. A lot of the choices in his video were based on the Toy Biz 1990s figures that he played with when he was a kid. A lot of my choices are going to be based in the comics era that I grew up reading, which is the Bronze Age. And I will link to Sal's video in the description below. So first on my list is the first family of the Savage Land: Ka-Zar, Shanna the She-Devil, and Zabu the Saber-Toothed Tiger. Hasbro did do a Savage Land box set as a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive way back in 2008. That set is very pricey to acquire today. A couple of problems I have with that set is that the Shanna in the set is based on the Frank Cho version, which costumes her in just a generic cave girl bikini. And the Zabu in that set was a repurposed mold from G.I. Joe Sigma 6. So the Savage Land set I'd like to see would be new molds of Ka-Zar, Shanna in her first appearance outfit, and a brand new mold for Zabu. Keeping with the prehistoric theme, my next choice would be Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy, one of Jack Kirby's quirkier creations from the late 1970s. There was a Moon Boy figure released in 2016 as, again, a San Diego Comic-Con collector's set, but that Moon Boy was done in the smaller 4-inch scale. So I would like a 6-inch scale Moon Boy with a Devil Dinosaur that is modeled after Jack Kirby's design, which is sort of a pygmy T-Rex with a big giant head. I know for the past several years, Marvel has been pushing Devil Dinosaur and Moon Girl, and I believe there's an upcoming animated series. And no offense to anyone who likes the character of Moon Girl, I like the original comics version that Kirby created, which is Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy. My next choice is Stegron the Dinosaur Man, a supervillain who's made sporadic appearances over the years. This guy was also on Sal's list based on his love of the 1990s Toy Biz toy. I would like a Stegron that's modeled after his original comic book appearance, especially as he was drawn by Ross Andru in The Amazing Spider-Man. Stegron is a scientist named Vincent Stegron, coincidentally, who stole Kurt Conner's lizard formula, mixed it with dinosaur DNA from the Savage Land, and became a Dinosaur Man. Next on my list is the classic Fantastic Four villain Dragon Man, a character design that I've always loved. There was a Dragon Man figure in the old Toy Biz line based on the Fantastic Four animated series, and then Toy Biz did do a 6-inch scale Dragon Man in their Fantastic Four Classic series back in 2006, another figure that's very pricey to acquire these days. I'd like a new Marvel Legends update that is based on his original appearance in the comics. And you can see from my choices that there's a theme forming here. I really like monstrous characters, and next on my list is the Griffin. Again, this is an obscure villain from the 1970s. A small-time criminal named Johnny Horton underwent a process by the criminal organization, the Secret Empire, which turns him into a monster. The Griffin has made sporadic appearances over the years in Marvel Team Up. In the 1980s, John Byrne brought him back in the Namor the Submariner series, and he did make a cameo appearance in the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes animated series. I just really love the character design of the Griffin, and I think he'd make a great Marvel Legends figure. Wood God is another obscure character from the 1970s who made his first appearance in Marvel Pre-Man number 31 in 1976. Wood God is basically a genetically engineered satyr. After his first appearance, he encountered the Amazing Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk a few times, and he has faded in and out of obscurity ever since. But this is another character design that I really like and I think would make a very cool figure. One of my favorite Spider-Man villains is Man-Wolf. Astronaut John Jameson, son of Jonah Jameson, found this strange ruby on the moon on one of his trips, and of course he kept it as a souvenir, and it turns him into the Man-Wolf. There was a Man-Wolf figure produced by Toy Biz back in 2005 as part of the Spider-Man Classics line. That figure had kind of a weird head sculpt, and it had this big backpack on it to accommodate an electronic howling sound. So I would just like a Man-Wolf figure sculpted to look like his original appearance without any electronic gimmicks in it. The last obscure villain on my list is going to be the Super Adoptoid. Super Adoptoid is an android with the ability to absorb the powers of any superhuman that it battles. And if you're a DC fan and that sounds familiar, yes, this is Marvel's version of the android Amazo. So the Super Adoptoid became an archenemy of the Avengers, fought them several times, and every time it absorbed the powers of one of the Avengers, that would manifest on the Adoptoid as a piece of the costume of the hero whose powers he had just absorbed. So it gave him a very visually interesting look. And I think Hasbro could easily do a Super Adoptoid by just repurposing pieces of previous figures and putting them together, because that's basically what the Super Adoptoid looks like. Moving on to Marvel Monsters. There was a Marvel Legends monster set released way back in 2004 that included Tomb of Dracula, Monster of Frankenstein, Werewolf by Night, and the zombie Simon Garth. I'd like to see an all-new set featuring new sculpts of these characters, and also adding Marvel's other two classic monster archetypes to the mix, that being the alien Amphibian and Encantu, the living mummy. Adjacent to the monsters, I'd like to see figures of the Bloodstone family, Ulysses Bloodstone and his daughter Elsa. Ulysses has only made a few sporadic appearances in comics over the years. Arguably his daughter Elsa is the more famous character due to her involvement with Next Wave and the Legion of Monsters. There was a Marvel Legends Elsa Bloodstone released as part of the A-Force set, which was, I believe, a convention and Toys R Us exclusive several years back before Toys R Us closed their stores in the US. I would like either a re-release of that figure or a new figure based on Elsa's first appearance. In her original miniseries, Elsa had a much different appearance than in her Next Wave appearances. Let's move on to some teams next, starting with the Agents of Atlas. This team is made up of characters that appeared in comics in the 1950s. In 1978, they reappeared in an issue of What If, which asked what if the Avengers formed in the 1950s. Much later in 2006, writer Jeff Parker picked up the seeds of that idea and brought back all the characters from that story and formed a new group called the Agents of Atlas. Atlas consists of Namora, cousin of Namor and mother of Namorita from the New Warriors, M11, the living robot, Venus, who is a siren of legend who now uses her hypnotizing abilities for good, Uranian, formerly known as Marvel Boy, Ken Hale, the Gorilla Man, the 3D Man, formerly known as the Avenger Triathlon, and the leader of Atlas, former FBI and S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Jimmy Woo. Agents of Atlas was a very well-written and enjoyable series, and these would make some great action figures. My next team choice would be the Guardians of the Galaxy. And what's that, you say? There are a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy action figures already? Yes, there are, based on the MCU. What I would like to see are Marvel Legends based on the original comic book appearances of the Guardians. So figures based on the first appearances of Star-Lord, Mantis, the Jim Starlin versions of Gamora and Drax, the Rick Leonardi version of Rocket Raccoon, and the Build-A-Figure in the wave, of course, would be Groot, based on his first appearance as he was drawn by Jack Kirby as a monstrous tree creature from outer space, not the cute little merchandising opportunity that we've come to know from the films. My next choices kind of veer left into the land of pipe dreams, but I think it could be done if Hasbro was creative enough. and that is the Micronauts. Now, if you know the history of the Micronauts comic, you'll know that Hasbro did an adaptation of the old Mego toy line. Some of the characters in the book were adapted from the toys. Other characters were Marvel originals created by Bill Mantlo. After Marvel lost the publishing rights to the Micronauts, the rights to the toys reverted back to Mego, while Marvel was able to keep all the original characters it had created for the series. Since then, the rights to the Micronauts toys have gone to Hasbro, and Hasbro has sort of brought them back every once in a while as part of that Hasbro shared universe concept that they've been developing on and off over the years. So to have a toy line based on the entire team from the original Marvel series really isn't possible at this point, unless you get creative. So here's my idea. A Marvel Legends series based on Enigma Force. Now, Enigma Force was the name that Marvel gave to their Micronauts characters once they lost the rights to the Micronauts. So they could do a Marvel Legends wave based on Enigma Force with those original Marvel characters, which would include characters like Marionette, Bug, Devil, Hunter, and Nanotron. Adjacent to that, Hasbro could do a series called Micronauts Classics. This series could just so happen to be in the same scale as the Marvel Enigma Force line. And Micronauts Classics could include new versions of all the toy-based characters, which would include Baron Karza, Acroyer, a Force Commander, Microtron, Biotron, Time Traveler, and all the Micronauts aliens like Centaurus, Repto, Lobros, etc. So we could get the Marvel characters in the Marvel Legends line, the toy-based characters in the Micronauts Classics line, and they could all play nicely together without any legal entanglements. And of course, both lines would have to be done in 3 3/4 inch scale, because 6-inch scale Micronauts would be stupid. And while we're on the subject of old toy and comic book characters that Hasbro now owns the rights to, I'm just going to leave this here. How about it, Hasbro? The final selection on my list is the pipiest of pipe dreams. This is a character who I've always wanted a toy of since 1978. And in today's toy market, it's very possible that this would have to be done as a HasLab, because this character is big. We're talking Sentinel big, we're talking Galactus big. And the character I'm speaking of is Red Ronin. Red Ronin is the super robot that first appeared in Marvel's Godzilla #6, 1978. And he is basically Marvel's own original Shogun warrior. After battling Godzilla a few times, Red Ronin went on to battle the Avengers and has appeared sporadically over the years. He's never been an A-list character or even a B-list character. I don't know how many people actually would remember Red Ronin, but I remember him, and I want a toy of him. And if I'm being honest, the type of Red Ronin toy I want doesn't necessarily have to be a super articulated Marvel Legends style figure like the Sentinel and Galactus. I would be ecstatic to get a Red Ronin toy modeled after the old Jumbo Mashinder Shogun warriors. 2 feet tall, hollow plastic, spring-loaded missiles, pop-out blades, wheels on the feet, the whole 9 yards. A Jumbo Mashinder style Red Ronin would be my ultimate toy, and I would pay for that. You don't want to know how much I'd pay for that. So I hope you enjoyed my Marvel Legends wish list, and I'd be curious to know what you guys want from Marvel Legends. What are your most wanted figures or really obscure Marvel characters that you'd like Hasbro to make? Please let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.